What's good, everybody? So today we are going to be taking a look at this video right here by Chris Wilson. Dark patterns. Are your games playing you? I feel this is going to be a talk about predatoriness into games, how they really influence you. And I just found out that Chris Wilson is a developer of Path of Exile, so he knows his stuff when it comes to games and video gaming and the gaming industry. So I am very, very interested to see what exactly takes he has of the whole situation, as someone who is very much has experience in a successful game in the industry. So this is actually massive. So let's take a look at this guy's video right here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it.
A few years ago, a friend of mine carried a laptop 6 kilometers through the bush just to log into a game and keep a daily login streak alive.
I realized the bush is a place in Australia. No, it's not an actual literal bush. Sorry, I had to. 1 second in, I gotta already use my brain.
That's not fun. That's not entertainment. That's a dark pattern. Hi, I'm Chris Wilson. In this video, I want to show you how some modern games manipulate your schedule, your wallet, and even your friendships.
Me playing Ethereum Restart, and I couldn't go to bed because I needed to use all my max refreshes and all my stamina, and it was like 4 in the morning, and I kept like doing the stamina and failing, so the stamina I'd get back so it would never end, and then suddenly it's 6 in the morning and I'm still playing this game and I can't like get out of the loop, and then suddenly I'm there and I can't sleep. And yeah, okay, I get it.
You may have heard the term dark pattern before. It refers to a design that deliberately manipulates user behavior, usually to get those users to spend money or engage more than they intended. A classic example is a hotel site flashing scarcity cues like, only 1 room left, 4 people are booking right now. You also
10% off offer only, or 75% off lasting 30 seconds right now. Guys, get it now. Guys, this character on this banner is only going to be here for like 20 days. You better get them now. Also, you should play their story, so you could definitely want to pull for them even more.
You see services that are easy to sign up for but hard to cancel. Confirm shaming buttons that say, I'd rather pay full price. Optional extras like shipping insurance being automatically added to your shopping cart, or pop-ups that say, don't leave yet, you have unpurchased items. Dark patterns like these are increasingly common, to the point where regulators and consumer groups are starting to push back. Today I want to...
Especially in the European Union and in European countries, we're seeing that more and more. They even targeted, like, I think gacha games as well, like requiring you to have, like, when you have currency, like specific in-game currency, they are pushing for you to have like actual monetary real equivalents next to it, so people could at least see what they're purchasing and have more weight to it when they see that kind of in-game currency. It's like EU is really pushing back on that kind of stuff at the moment. Like it's getting a lot of traction.
Talk about a less discussed form of dark patterns, and that's their use in the games that we play and make. Given how much money is made by the games industry, it's no surprise that some developers are applying psychological principles to the reward systems of their games to manipulate players into engaging more. In this video, I'm not talking about gameplay systems that are intentionally addictive or immersive. That's part of the entertainment you signed up for. I'm talking about the meta systems, monetization tricks, retention loops, psychological hooks, and UI traps that manipulate you outside of the actual gameplay.
Oh no, I feel you're going to be able to relate so many of these to gacha games. Because gacha games are just infinite retention loops. That's what they're designed to be like. Everyday logins, limited time characters, package deals every month you could buy, monthly passes that only work if you log in every day. Ooh.
Another way to look at this is, if a developer focuses on making a game as compelling as it possibly can be, and it ends up really fun, interesting, and makes players want to play it again and again, then that developer won't need to rely on manipulative psychological tricks to artificially improve their metrics. Okay, enough preamble. Let's get into some dark patterns. So, like with non-game products, user interface dark patterns are common. For example, some mobile games ask you to rate them out of 5 stars. If you pick 5, you're sent straight to the App Store to leave a review. Anything less sends you to a developer feedback form instead. This quietly biases actual reviews towards higher ratings by making lower scoring reviews.
Oh my god, wait, that's crazy. I never even thought about that. That's wild. So, like, you're unlikely to ever leave a bad review. You're more likely to give good reviews. Wow, I never even thought that was a thing. I legit didn't even know that was a thing. That is crazy. Wait, that's actually already blown my mind. If you get, how would you rate our app and you rate it a 2? They won't send you to the review site. They'll send you to like a feedback. That's actually fucked up.
It was harder to leave. Another example of a user interface dark pattern is a game that allows you to spend real money to level up gems that can be socketed into your gear. But players might find that once they've completely maxed out a gem at great expense, more sockets appear, requiring them to spend more money than they.
Let's ignore the fact that we could let's ignore the fact that we could straight up buy like tubes and XP. Let's ignore that fact. We could straight up purchase it.
Initially intended to completely max out their character. This moving of the goalposts could potentially manipulate players into thinking they were going to complete their character for one price when it actually costs a lot more. They may not have committed to spending as much if they knew that from the start. Dark patterns in games extend far beyond just deceptive user interfaces, though. They're typically categorized as temporal, social, psychological, and monetary dark patterns. I've put some links to some of my references that have comprehensive lists in the video description.
And he's got references. Oh my god, this guy's a W so far. He's come out with the glue, the receipts, everything. Bro, it's only been 2 minutes, 3 minutes into this video, and bro's already given examples, cooked, and said, I've got references linked below. Holy.
But I'll go through a few of the major ones with you right now. Before we get started, I should note that pretty much any mechanism that tries to manipulate a change in user behavior is considered a dark pattern in games, but the severity varies a lot. Some of them are much more mild than others, and will all have different opinions about which of them are harmless and which are going too far.
Okay, so not all of them are necessarily bad.
Many live service games have daily login rewards. In behavioral psychology, when an action is followed by a reward, your brain learns to repeat it. Every day that you log in and receive this reward, you'll get a hit of dopamine, building a habit over time. Players who are conditioned...
How many of you buy the monthly pass but you never log in? Or you don't log in daily? How many? Own up. Own up right now. How many of you do it? How many of you log in? How many of you buy the pass but you never actually log in? Admit it. I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
Logging in every day do it not because they're excited to play, but because it feels like brushing their teeth, just something they have to do. Some games have login streaks. This is where the rewards escalate for each sequential day you log in. When you break the streak, your rewards reset back down to the minimum level. Now, humans have a strong sense of loss aversion, where losses feel roughly twice as bad as gains feel good, and hence players will go significantly out of their way to avoid breaking these streaks. As I mentioned before, I have a friend who was on an off-the-grid camping trip and had to walk 6 kilometers with his laptop and a 3G modem so he could keep a login streak going in some random game he was playing.
That's crazy. Like, that's wild. Like, I must keep up the streak. I must do it. Do you know what it reminds me of? I remember back in the day when I was like 16, when Snapchat was like birth and being a thing, and everyone cared about snap streaks. Like, oh, I gotta keep my streak up. I gotta keep my, people would just send nothing just so they keep streaks up. People like consistency. People like having streaks. Maybe that's why Twitch implemented like consecutive watch streaks into Twitch. Maybe that's why they've just done that. Because they know people want to chase them. Duolingo streak is a W. Yeah, people just like, people like the look of being consistent daily.
There are even games out there that let you pay real money to restore a broken streak. In addition to daily login bonuses, many games have daily tasks or challenges which reset every 24 hours. Players feel obliged to complete these so that the easy rewards don't go to waste. They don't want to miss out on cheap progress that everyone else is getting. Some games rely on dark patterns rooted in social obligation to manipulate you into behaving differently. For example, it's common for mobile base builder games to have guilds or clans where daily participation, like doing quests or donating resources, is important for your guild to succeed. If you don't log in each day and perform these actions, you let your friends down, which causes guilt and social pressure for you to be active daily.
Ethan, when he doesn't log in to his to his guild with his wild friends, and suddenly he has to be like outcasted, and he has to crawl back to making gacha content and playing gacha on stream and not playing WoW. That's what needs to happen. He needs to be shamed. He needs to not play every day so he can be shamed out of playing WoW. That's what happens.
This dark pattern can exploit and strain our friendships, especially when the game is tuned to make daily participation essentially mandatory. Other games feature gifting between players, where reciprocation of gifts is rewarded with extra bonuses. This taps into reciprocity pressure to cause you to feel the need to log in daily and return gifts to people. Some games have...
Nah, if you give me something, I feel zero need to give something back. No, actually, that's a lie. Just in general, I don't like it when people give me stuff. I actually don't. It makes me feel very uncomfortable because I always feel like I'm indebted or I'm owed. So I'm like, Ethan, hi. Oh, well, hello. I definitely just wasn't talking about you. I definitely wasn't.
Friend bonuses, or even outright pyramid schemes, where you make faster progress if you have recruited an extensive network of friends to join the game and play with you. Time-gated tasks, or playing by appointment, are when a game tells you have to come back at a specific time or face consequences. Popularized by farming games where your crops would wither and die if not harvested at the right time, the game forces...
Did any of y'all play Farmville? Oh my fucking god.
...control of your schedule, sometimes making you wake up in the middle of the night to click buttons or lose your investment.
Oh, my Tamagotchi when I was a kid. If you didn't, it would die.
Blocked until you come back when these resources have regenerated. While this is less harsh than your crops being completely lost, you'll feel pressure to come back at exactly the right time to maximize your rate of progress. When you're not the one deciding when you play the game, but instead having the game decide for you, it's worth questioning your entire relationship with that game.
I think I'm just like, maybe I'm just built different. I'm not gonna lie. Not to be that person. I understand it's like this is dark practice, but like if I just don't want to do something, I just won't. I very rarely ever build like a connection to something that's so much that I feel I need to compulsively do it. Like I just simply won't. Even if I get like a monthly pass on a gacha, I probably won't even do the full thing. So it's kind of a waste of my time. That's why I don't really do them anymore. You know, I'm one of those people that just, I'm not really susceptible to these practices, but I totally understand other people get sucked into it. Like there's a reason why they're so effective. They're incredibly effective.
Some live service games create artificial scarcity for their store items. As entirely digital purchases, there's no physical requirement to limit the number of people who can purchase something, but doing so often causes it to sell much faster due to players fearing they're going to miss out. This pattern is similar to the one employed in gacha games, where they often have certain characters available for purchase only occasionally, causing a frenzy of activity when they are. Not only does this cause more sales, but it conditions players to check in with the game daily to see if the character they want is available for sale.
Nah, we gacha players, we know the exact date and time patches drop with characters. We don't have to log in. We know the exact... We're tuned into everything. We're so locked in and brain broken into patch release cycles of gacha games that we know exactly the minute a character comes out. That's how cooked we are. That's legitimately how brain broken we all are as a community. Like, let's not lie. Let's not fucking lie. We know the exact minute, hour, fucking day, second a character is coming out. Because we immediately want to spend all the pulls that we've logged in every day to collect and done all the events, because we must pull for the new character. I can't. If I don't pull for the new character, I'm going to spontaneously combust. I must use my Asterites. I must.
Variety of dark patterns related.
The wife must come home.
Premium currency in games. Developers can design their premium currency packs to be slightly too small to buy the most desirable items, requiring players to purchase more premium currency at once than they plan to. Developers can pick arbitrary exchange rates for their premium currency, so that players can't really understand the true cost of the item they're buying.
Yeah, so this costs, it's 160 astrite for a pull, but it's 160 like Lunites, and 160 Lunites is like it's like £2, but like that's how much it be. So actually you got to buy the Lunites, and then you got to use the Lunites to make the asteroids. I hate it. It is just a bad practice, and I'm glad the EU is stepping up on that and is like, actually maybe these in-game currencies are a little bit too deceptive, and we need to make people very much aware of how much these things cost at face value. So I'm glad that's being changed.
Cheap items can be placed next to expensive items in the store to make them look like better value. Some games employ special in-game or monetization events that are time-limited or seasonal. The content and rewards are only
spending event
available for a limited time window. Players do not want to miss out on a unique reward that may never be available again, so this limited availability causes fear of missing out, which leads to intense and anxious play during the event window.
Also, it's like just any even free-to-play events, right? Like limited time rewards, that's what he's talking about, right? I thought he was talking more about spending events. No, like even limited time events where you won't get the full rewards, like they make them permanent afterwards sometimes, but you won't get the full thing. And honestly, the limited rewards are what you really care about most anyway. So it does create FOMO, because I know even for me at the end of patches, I'm like, you know what, actually I should probably do my events right now, because I could probably do, not even for the asteroids, but for the materials to level my characters can be like mega useful. It's not even about the asteroids most of the time for me when it comes to events, it's the materials.
There's also a phenomenon called the endowed progress effect, which shows that if players are given a head start on a reward track, then they are far more likely to finish the rest of that track.
Oh my god, battle passes.
So that they don't waste the progress they have so far.
Oh my god, battle passes. If you get the more expensive one, you get like 10, you get extra 10 levels. Oh my god.
Even though they didn't even make that progress themselves. It's a bit like the sunk cost fallacy. This is why some battle pass schemes start with the first already completed, or have some really easy ones that are inadvertently completed while playing. This manipulates players into committing to complete a reward track that they may not have chosen to attempt without the free bump of progress at the start. So we've gone through a bunch of different dark patterns, and some of them seem pretty user hostile. You may be wondering, why would developers pollute their live service games with all this crap? Well, there are several answers to that question, and the first is that it works. Yep. These techniques are all highly effective. They produce the desired outcomes.
Like, they're all literally psychologists, okay? They're people who work in psychology, who are hired at companies to literally analyze what is the best way to get people to perform certain actions. There are people whose literal job it is to make an experience as like to keep as much retention of you as possible and spend the most money. There are people literally hired to make that happen and to figure out those kind of processes. It's crazy.
Manipulate well understood psychological principles that our human brains are vulnerable to. The second reason is that players generally tolerate many of these design patterns pretty well. Have a look at the games you play and see what techniques they're using from this video. Ask yourself if these are a big enough deal that you'll quit playing the game entirely over them. Chances are you're still playing the game despite the presence of these manipulative elements. Another important reason is mindshare. There are a lot of live service games out there, and players have a limited amount of free time. If a game doesn't have all of the addictive hooks and manipulative retention mechanisms we discussed, then its players may find themselves compulsively logging into other games to complete daily tasks and forget to play this one.
That's so true. Like if you're someone who doesn't subscribe to the same like standards as the others, you're gonna lose out, because people still have that compulsion to play the other games, but now they don't have a compulsion to play your game. They're less likely to really go back to it in the first place. Ooh, wait, DNA anyone? Duet Night Abyss anyone? You don't have to play every single day. And maybe because of that, people might not go back to it as readily because they have to play the other games and log in. Ooh, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought experiment.
Foreign publishers. When a game releases and is popular in its home regions, publishers from other countries approach the studio and offer to localize and market the game in their region. But in order to take the risk of investing in license fees and marketing costs, the publisher is going to want to make sure the game is as sticky and lucrative as possible.
Black Beacon anyone? Having two different publishers for like CN and Global?
The publisher dares not suggest changes to the actual game itself, as the game is already proven to be good. So the only way they have to juice the retention and monetization is through meta systems, which very easily stray into dark pattern territory. Finally, the entire games as a service industry measures the value of a game as a function of its daily active user count and its retention rates. If you're making
There we go. From the words of the devs themselves, of a dev themselves, it's all about how many players a day are playing your game and how long are they playing for. That is the only metric that is worth like any salt in this industry. How many players log in every day and how long are they there for? That's literally all that matters. That's crazy.
a live service game, you're only going to be able to get funding if you have a solid plan to retain your users. That plan probably ends up
if you get people, the reason being, you get people logging in every single day. Those are all potential customers. Every single time you log in is a time you might potentially spend money. So the more you log in and the longer you spend there, the more of a lucrative user you are. And that's what companies pay for when they want to fund games and live service games. That's the only metric that matters at the end of the day.
Involving some number of these dark patterns, because you have to compete against other games using these techniques. If you have a publisher or investor involved, they're probably going to want to see industry benchmarked retention and return from your game, and that is benchmarked against other games that are packed full of dark patterns. If you refuse to use dark patterns in your games, you're effectively competing with games that do use them, while operating at a disadvantage on the metrics that investors care about. This situation really sucks. While by definition, a dark pattern is a design that benefits the developer at the player's expense, some of the techniques mentioned in this video aren't entirely evil, and if clearly communicated and balanced fairly, wouldn't qualify as actual dark patterns. For example, it's pretty clear that escalating login streaks are quite manipulative, because players really want to avoid breaking their streak. But flat daily login rewards might be more acceptable to players because the penalty for not logging in is just missing one day of rewards. If those rewards
it's like dailies in a gacha. Like sometimes if you miss one daily in a gacha, it's not that bad. It's not like you're missing out on anything crazy for one day. You're not missing a huge amount of progress if you miss one a day. But if you have, like, I guess you could say the most extreme case would be the patch login rewards, you know, the pulls you get if you don't do them in time. But you don't need to log in every day to get those necessarily. But yeah.
Sufficiently generous, and the game is not manipulative elsewhere, players might be happy with that system. There are certainly players who really look forward to daily bonuses or special events in their favorite games, and enjoy the structure and rewards that those bring, despite the drawbacks we've talked about. Some developers argue that a little psychological nudge can enhance enjoyment of the game, for example by encouraging players via rewards to explore parts of the game they wouldn't otherwise try out. Achievement systems are a common example of this. I previously talked about how time-limited events can be manipulative.
I feel like achievements aren't as big of a hook for most people. There are definitely those who love achievement hunting. Like they want to get all the trophies, all the achievements 100%. Those definitely exist, but I don't think that's as strong as other practices because I don't think it's not as tied to anything apart from personal accomplishment. But there are definitely people who love achievement hunting. But I feel that that's not really, that's more of a personal thing.
Often offer exclusive rewards that require a lot of work to unlock during a narrow time period and can take advantage of your fear of missing out. This is a problem when the event involves grinding out existing content, but honestly isn't that bad when the event consists of interesting new content. For example, back in January of 2017, Blizzard celebrated the 20-year anniversary of Diablo 1's release by introducing a special event into Diablo 3. The Darkening of Tristram was an homage to Diablo 1 within the Diablo 3 engine, complete with a pixelization shader and a strict orthographic isometric projection like Diablo 1. Players got to play through this mini version of Diablo 1 with their Diablo 3 characters, and it was honestly pretty cool. Even cynical old me reinstalled Diablo 3 and had a fun time checking it out. It looks like they're still running this anniversary dungeon event annually since then. This was a very well executed example of a time-limited in-game event that was a net win for everyone. I have nothing to complain about there.
But then you have something I hate to be that person that always compares things to Genshin. You guys know I don't do that regularly at all. The first thing that came into my head was Dragon Spine in Genshin. Like a limited time event that you could never do again. I just really don't like how that game never lets you go back to experience limited time events that were actually like important to the story. Like I just never understood that. That was just literally the first thing that came into my brain. But that kind of stuff I really don't like limiting cool stuff that people can't experience later. I think is not okay, especially if it has like actual lore and story reasons behind it and for it. I feel that's kind of bad.
On the other hand, time-limited events that don't introduce new content can be more dangerous. A number of years ago, a fellow game director told me a story about a live service game he was running. He wanted to increase player activity in the gaps between expansions, so he decided to try running a double experience weekend. It was a huge success and saw way more players playing than usual. After the weekend, however, player numbers dipped down below where they were before the weekend, so they ran another double experience weekend the following weekend. You can predict where the story went. After a while, people only played on those special weekends because playing on weekdays felt far less worthwhile in comparison. The game eventually shut down. While games that overuse dark patterns alienate their users and eventually see the opposite of the good retention they were aiming for, the primary victims of dark patterns are the players themselves. Players affected by dark patterns find
I wonder if we could apply that to any particular gacha game where some of these dark patterns actually just fatigue people overall. And I think for gacha games, the negative outcome is that what are devs incentivized on each patch, right? If they're so focused on daily login and getting people to do that and player retention, what are they more focused on to achieve that rather than just make good content? I think that's where some might miss the mark or not see the forest for the trees a little bit, and where they could start to fall down in quality, focusing more about the must do every day versus what do people actually would enjoy, and come after logging in, they can experience something, an event or story, and they come away from being like, I feel satisfied to have done this extra thing of this game and not just because I logged in. I think maybe they might, there's risks of companies and those developers of doing that and kind of missing the point.
Compelled into behavior they wouldn't normally perform, whether that's making purchases they hadn't planned for, logging in on days they hadn't intended to play on, grinding content they wouldn't normally choose to grind, referring friends who might not have an interest in the game, or having to set an alarm at 4 a.m. to tend some crops. These actions have both an impact on their day-to-day life, but also reduce their enjoyment of the actual game itself. They often lead to feelings of anxiety, fear of missing out, commitment pressure, guilt, and frustration. The scary thing is, I'm an adult in my 40s who has spent his career working in live service games. I deeply know all about these tricks and still find them affecting me far more than I'm comfortable with. Imagine what it's doing to kids.
I feel like there comes a point where it's like, do you care enough? Like, you know you're being manipulated by these tricks, but how much does it affect your life? I think it's to the point where if you're sacrificing your sleep, your time, or relationships with other people because you must play these games, or you must log in, or you must succumb to these live service practices, then I think you can maybe reevaluate and be like, okay, this is kind of like an issue for me. But if it's not something that really affects your life too much, then it's not a big enough deal to care about or worry about. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's about moderation. It's about moderating yourself. But there are some people, I know maybe some of you guys, that have like 10 games you log into every day, and you put an actual genuine burden of time on yourself to do that.
Who are incredibly vulnerable to the constant bombardment of gambling, compulsion, addiction, loss aversion, and anxiety-inducing dark patterns that these games contain. So far in this video, I've tried to offer a relatively neutral take on the pros and cons of these game design patterns. While they're called dark patterns and have a high potential for abuse, I've explained that some of them are moderately harmless if used in a way that provides a lot of value for players. But if you're watching my channel, you probably want my actual opinion on all of this. I put a lot of thought into this area because I used to run a live service game, and I frequently had to make decisions related to what design patterns were used for meta systems, retention mechanics, and monetization. So here's my current take on this topic. First of all, I think that pretty much...
do you know what? I respect the fact he's actually going to give his personal opinion. I kind of expected him not to, given the fact that he's a developer of games and did it himself. But the fact that he's actually being upfront and here's what he thinks about them, I actually mega respect.
Everything is fair game in terms of the actual design of the game itself. If a game is targeted at adults rather than children, I don't have a problem with people leaning on behavioral psychology research when designing the actual gameplay of the game and its reward systems within the game. Make your games fun, make them compelling, make people want to play them and want to return to them for their own merits. Your job as a game designer is to make a really fun game, and understanding how the human brain works is important for that. Players becoming invested in your game and deeply caring about their progression is a good thing. It's why people play games. But I draw the line at deploying dark patterns because they are related to retention systems, meta progression, and monetization. When I'm playing a game, I don't want to have a fear of missing out that makes me feel like I have to play frantically during time-limited events. I don't want to have to log into the game every single day to avoid breaking some stupid streak. I don't want to have to do some minimum amount of activity every day, otherwise I miss out on bonuses. I don't want to have to spam my friends to remind them to log in, otherwise I miss out on rewards. I hate all of this bullshit. When I was growing up, games were designed to be fun, not manipulative.
That's valid.
They didn't have literal behavioral
When you have to
scientists and
inconvenience
psychologists
other
on staff
people,
trying
that's
to
a
rewire
problem.
my brain. Look, I love the economic...
Hey guys, John, you have not logged into this game today. We cannot do this raid. You need to log in now. What are you doing? I need to stop. I know your children are hungry and your wife is crying, but I don't care. We must raid. Get online now, you bastard. Like,
aspects of live service online games, but I just don't find myself enjoying most modern ones.
John's like, his children are throwing up everywhere. His children are throwing up. His wife is screaming, tears down her face. Why don't you love me? Look at our children. Why don't you care where? And then he's like, oh, I've got a fucking raid. I've got a fucking raid. I've got a raid. Like, it was fucking crazy.
Whenever I see daily tasks, seasonal events, and all the exclusivity FOMO, I just lose all hope that I'll actually enjoy playing the game, because I know that it'll be playing me. If you're a developer and really want to add retention mechanisms
John,
without
I know your wife is dying from cancer, but join this raid real quick.
too deeply into dark patterns, what can you do? Well, first of all, you should try to make your
John, your kids are throwing up. You know what else you are throwing? This raid.
game as fun as possible on its own merits, before relying on external meta mechanics to try to add engagement. Once you've done this, it's a matter of transparency, fairness, and respect for your players. Transparently communicate how things work and what players have to do in plain language. Avoid hidden gotchas that players are unaware of. For example, if you're using loot boxes, clearly communicate their drop rates. Try to ensure that optional challenges reward effort rather than attendance. Make sure that time-limited events last long enough for real-life schedules. Carefully consider whether reward should be exclusive or whether you should have the event return with the same rewards later, giving players a chance to get them if they miss out this time.
Yes! That, please.
It's worth thinking about the concept of time-agnostic gaming. Try not to care about when a player plays your game. Some people can't game every day, but have lots of time available on the weekends. It's unfair if the progress they make is slower than someone who manages to log in every day to claim some type of login reward. So that's been a tour through the dangerous world of dark patterns. As game developers, we have an obligation to think very carefully before we employ strategies like these. Push back and make sure that the reason you're adding something is because it's actually adding more fun, rather than because it'll artificially create more retention or juice some other metric. As gamers, we also have an obligation to push back. If you want more game in your games and less bullshit...
If you want more gay... Why? He lingered on that. As if it's me, he lingered. If you want more gay in your game... Wait, I'm not crazy.
You also have an obligation to push back. If you want more game in your...
Why did he say it like that? If you want gay... If you want gay... If you want gay in your game...
games and less bullshit, make sure that you communicate this to developers. Your money and attention are precious. Spend them wisely. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Honestly, that was a great video. I think I've known about the dark pattern stuff for a while, but to hear it being broken down from like a developer, I think is actually really cool. I think that's really cool. This was a W. I'm a fan. I'm gonna subscribe. That's a great video from a dev themselves, and them giving their opinion at the end made me very happy. I appreciate this video, and I appreciate you guys, and I'd appreciate you even more if you subscribed. Just hit the button. It's really easy, it's really simple, and it helps me out massively. And then you know what else helps? If you leave a comment down below what you thought, and if you do, your PP will grow at least 1.5 inches today. I know we're getting 50% extra today, which is crazy. So I appreciate you all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next time. Peace.
Twitch.tv/Captain Cabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.